Hey, what's up, y'all? It's Frank Payne with another episode of Loud and Unfiltered, and today we're going to have another flashback for you. Going back to 2015 when I had a chance to speak to Nothing More's frontman, lead singer Jonny Hawkins. Now, 2015, you may remember, this was right around the time that Nothing More really broke out nationally. Granted, they had put in like a decade's worth of work leading up to getting signed to a big record deal, but they were about, I believe, on their second or third single at about this time. They were about to hit the road with Shinedown, which we're going to hear how they hooked up with Shinedown. That in itself is a great story. Yeah, so it's a really, really cool flashback, especially considering that Nothing More is one of the biggest rock bands on the planet right now. So you get to hear, knowing how big Nothing More is now, you get to hear Jonny Hawkins' words when his voice, when they weren't that big. It's really, really cool. Then, of course, we'll talk about one of their biggest songs called Jenny. So enjoy it, y'all. Here's Jonny Hawkins from Nothing More. This was back in 2015. Now, we're going to pick up this interview where Jonny talks about the whirlwind of a year it had been since they had been signed to a big record deal. Here's Loud and Unfiltered.
Well, we're still working our way up, but it really has been a whirlwind of a year, like you said. Basically, this last year is kind of the tail end of about 10 years of hard work from us. We started when we were in, 7th grade together.
Yeah.
And so we've been playing together for a very long time. This last year, or really the last 2 years, really kind of turned everything around. And it's been kind of like that, it's been a change from winning one fan at a time over to showing up in cities and there being hundreds of people at the show, which is a huge sigh of relief. It's not as hard and, fighting it out in the trenches like it used to be, but it's just it's crazy, man. There's all these people everywhere now that know who we are, and the shows are just insane. Everybody's singing every word, and it's all thanks to people like you, for spinning our stuff. So we appreciate it, man.
I've seen you guys a million times, but also like to watch a lot of YouTube videos of, the live stuff from you guys, because you're just such such a passionate live band. You're winning over the new fans just in huge numbers, and they're going back and they're not only, checking out the new stuff, but they're going deep into your catalog and coming back to the shows with a full knowledge of the band. That's got to be a great feeling.
Yeah. That is probably the best feeling about it all. We're seeing so many people go back buy the older record.
Yeah.
And singing all these deeper tracks off both albums, and it's a cool thing because it really shows that we're connecting with people on a what we call like lifers. People that. Our music is a part of their life, and they're going to be with us probably for the rest of our career and life. And that's really, really encouraging to see and hear, because that's the kind of band we want to be. There's a lot of bands that have very fast success, which for us, the last year seems fast, but everything we've put into it before that was definitely not fast.
No.
And we don't want to be that kind of flash in the pan. It's really exciting, adrenaline rush for a moment, but after that, you kind of outgrow it, and it doesn't really have a place in your life. We want to be that band that, has the music that helps people through, the struggles of every day,
right,
throughout life. And so fortunately, we're getting to see that's what it's turning into. So yeah, it's very cool.
Hey, we're on the phone with Jonny Hawkins, lead singer from the band Nothing More. Hey, Jonny, why don't you go ahead and tell us how you got hooked up with Shinedown for this tour you're about to go on?
This one was actually a little unorthodox compared to how these tours usually get lined up. We were on the Five Finger Death Punch Hell Yeah and Volbeat tour.
Yeah.
And it was probably like the first or second day we were on that tour that we met Hell Yeah's tour manager, and he came into our room and was telling us where we could put our stuff and, all the logistical things. And he was like, oh, yeah, and I know, and off the top of my head, I can't remember his name, but he's like, I know so-and-so from Shinedown, and we're like good family friends. He tells me to tell y'all what's up and that we should do a tour sometime with you guys. And
wow,
we were just totally blindsided by that because as far as I remember, I don't think we've met anyone from Shinedown.
Yeah.
But they must have, heard about us, whether through the radio or some other musician friends. And so it was cool to, get to that, that we were still kind of breaking out then.
Yeah.
That was about a year ago now. But it was still cool to be at that point where you were getting notifications like that from these bigger bands that we've, looked up to and have been very successful, saying that they are listening to our stuff and they want us on tour with them. So that was we didn't know if that would really turn into anything. We were just like, oh, that's really cool, and we'll take that as a compliment and carry on. And it wasn't, months later, we actually got an official offer. So
wow,
it actually
cool.
manifested into something. And we're like, all right, I guess we're doing this. So
that's cool,
that's
man.
how this came about.
Getting to hit the road and meeting all these different bands and stuff. Have there been any that so far that you're like, okay, mark that band off of the bucket list, whether it's one that you toured with, you got to meet like at a festival or something like that? I mean, because you're fans of music, it's obvious. I mean, you grew up loving it, so that's got to be somewhere in the back of your mind, right?
Oh, yeah. God, let me think about that one. We met so many bands due to a lot of the festivals that we played.
Yeah.
So even if we didn't get to tour with them, at the festivals, we get to meet a lot of different people. Yeah, there's so many. I'm trying to think which one to make noteworthy.
Right.
I met John 5 from Marilyn Manson, the guitar player.
He's incredible, isn't he?
And yeah, that was just really interesting to meet. Growing up, that was something I listened to and was always very hot among my friends. Everybody was talking about Marilyn Manson. I think one of the coolest moments was, having Ivan from Five Finger Death Punch, before we ever toured with them, just come up to me randomly at the bar in this VIP area.
Yeah.
I think it was Welcome to Rockville or some festival, and he offered me some shots.
Cool.
And I was like, all right. And I'd never met him before. And so we had some drinks, and he's like, I think we're going to have you guys out on tour. And so I also got to meet POD, which, as a kid, I listened to them a lot. They were a big influence of mine. And still a great band. I lost touch with them for a little while. I think they had like a lineup change, and I didn't really stick with them because their music changed a little bit, in my opinion. And then they kind of got back to their roots recently, and I've been jamming their stuff again. And so I got to meet all the guys there, and they watched our whole set when we played Louder Than Life, this other festival. They were watching like side stage, so that was pretty crazy to have these bands that you looked up to your whole life,
right?
Just watching you on the side of the stage, but. Also, I was right next to Axl Rose for a few minutes right before he went on.
Wow.
At this big festival. It was the weirdest, craziest thing because I was kind of just at the right place at the right time. They were clearing everybody out with security. And fortunately, one of our managers is Danny Wimmer, who runs a lot of these festivals. So I got, kind of a higher level credential, and I got to stay. And he's coming out and just talking with a few of his friends, and he's just like right next to me. I didn't bother him at all because he was about to go on stage, but he was just standing right next to me for a few minutes, and I'm like, this is the weirdest thing ever. So I've definitely had a lot. Those are the ones I can remember at the moment, but there's definitely been a lot of people I've looked up to throughout the years that I've gotten to meet.
Speaking of like Danny and the festivals and John 5, who's with Rob Zombie now, and Ivan of Five Finger Death Punch, you guys are going to be in that whole group at Rock Allegiance coming up in October. And that playing a show like that, I mean, just stacked from Rob Zombie to Korn to Godsmack, Five Finger, Papa Roach, In This Moment, Hollywood Undead. I mean, just the list goes on and on. I mean, tons of bands. Now, whether it's Rock Allegiance or, Welcome to Rockville or whatever other festivals that you've been on and the various artists that you've had a chance to meet, has there ever been a time that you saw one of these or, whether you met the artist or just saw them on stage, you're like, I want to do do some kind of collaboration with them? I mean, because it's tough. I mean, nothing more is the music itself. It's not your typical cookie cutter type of rock. You've got to be a really badass musician to hang with, nothing more. So has that ever been something that's been approached with someone else?
Yeah, we actually got approached to do a collaboration with In This Moment.
Wow.
And it was going to be a guest vocal thing that I was going to do on one of their songs.
Oh, okay.
And I'm kind of bummed that the timing of all of it, because this was right when we were like hitting the road really hard, and we were actually in Europe at the time when we got the offer. And there just wasn't, there was two reasons that we had to pass on it. But basically it was right when everybody was finding out who we were as a band.
Right.
And we were afraid of, because of the song, which I thought was an amazing song, it was just a very, out of left field for, I guess, kind of our whole vibe and kind of the message and things behind our lyrics. So we thought it might kind of be distractive to everybody's first impression of us.
Gotcha.
But the second reason was just we didn't have any moment in time that we were going to see where I could literally get in the studio and do it. Because my off days, I needed to be resting my voice for the show the next day.
Of course.
And so it didn't work out, but I was so bummed because I think, first of all, she has an amazing voice and a really, really cool thing that she's doing.
Yeah.
And so I actually ran into her at the last festival we played, Kansas City Rock Fest, and I told her, I was like, I know it didn't work out because of the timing and all these factors, but I was like, I would love to do it on this next record if you're interested. So
cool.
We might do something together. I saw that she just did one with Jacoby, Papa Roach, and it's that's one. We've also, I'm trying to think who else we've talked with. We've thrown around some ideas about some collaborations, but the other ones are a little less sure. So that's the one that might happen. So we'll see.
Hey, that'd be really cool, man. You started off your worldwide success, with This Is the Time, Ballast, and then you had followed it up with Mr. MTV. Both incredible singles, both did amazing on the charts. And now we've got the third single that is screaming up the charts, Jenny. Now this one is a personal song, for yourself, and I'm sure for the rest of the guys in the band as well, being the fact that you guys are literally family and grown up together. But give for those around here that aren't 100% in the know on the song, give us a little bit of history on the background of the song and kind of the campaign that has been spawned from all this.
Yeah, so Jenny is a song that was written about my sister, and long story short, there's a lot of elements to this story, but basically she was named after my aunt Jenny. Yeah. Her name's actually Jenna, but my Aunt Jenny in college lost her mind. She literally just called home one day and said, "There's something wrong with my brain. Can you come pick me up?"
Right.
And so my grandmother went and picked her up. She was never the same. They had her tested for drugs, see if maybe she took something crazy or something was slipped in her drink. And come to find out, she just was incredibly schizophrenic, and a lot of times mental disorders or illnesses kind of rear their ugly head in kind of that college age in most people. So
yeah,
she's been in a home and kind of completely checked out. for 30 years, just not even there. It's almost like the lights are on, but nobody's home. So my mom named my sister Jenna after her because she was her first daughter. And I think it was kind of a redemption or a stab at redemption for, I think, maybe what she felt like she couldn't save her sister. So she had kind of a do-over with her daughter. And, you know, an unfortunate twist in fate was that my sister Jenna, as time passed, started making my mom feel uneasy. And as a kid, I never saw what the issue was because she was just my sister and she seemed normal to me. And in a lot of ways she was. But my mom was a little more intuitive, like most mothers are, and she thought something was wrong. And so as my mom got cancer when I was in high school, or I'm sorry, my sister was in high school.
Yeah.
She started going downhill, and towards the last year of her life, my sister was in a very, very bad place. She was not only escalating, I think some of her symptoms were escalating as far as it being a little more clear that there was a problem, but she was getting really into hard drugs and just the wrong crowd. And it's kind of hard to decipher, I think, for a lot of people out there who have dealt with a situation that's similar to this. When you have a teenager, a lot of times you just think they're going through their rebellious phase, and for most people that's all it is. And so with Jenna, we thought that, you know, she was just going through her rebellious phase, and she was just going through it really radically. And so my mom stuck around a lot longer than she probably physically should have or could have. So she stuck to the bitter end to kind of help my sister get into a better place in life. And so when my mom passed away, it really sent my sister down an even darker path. And so for the last, few years, my sister has just been in and out of jail and rehab and has wrecked so many cars and just done so many things, but it's more and more apparent that she's got mental issues, and I don't know how much of it is from doing copious amounts of meth and hard drugs mixed with it, or how much is natural. But what I do know is, people that are well and are at peace in their minds aren't the ones who go out of their way to self-medicate and do hard drugs and try to escape reality. And the people that are hurting are the ones who do many times. So this whole campaign that we're doing behind the song is really trying to kind of bring awareness to that whole topic and the subject, not just for everyone else pretending like we know the answers, but it's really for us as well, because I honestly, this is probably the most difficult, foggy situation I've ever had to navigate is my relationship with my sister. Because if you've ever dealt with somebody who's mentally ill and or an addict, it's very, very hard to get through to them, and it's also very hard to know how to actually be something good in their life while also having boundaries. Right. Because there's this quote that says, "Givers have to set boundaries because takers rarely do." And I think a lot of people find themselves in that situation, much like you see on shows like Intervention. There's always a family member or a friend who's going through something like that. So as we went on the road and people would tell us their stories of how Jenny related to them, it was very apparent very quickly that almost everyone we talked to knew someone, whether it was a family member or a friend, who was a Jenny in their life. And the degrees of separation were very small. So the numbers of people out there that deal with this are huge. Probably, I would say close to cancer, if not much greater than the number of people who deal with cancer, because just based on what I'm seeing on the ground. And it's just most people don't talk about it because it's kind of the skeleton in the closet for the family or whatever. And so we're trying to get people to start talking about it and not feel ashamed, because that's really the first step in solving any problem. It's when you keep it in the dark that nothing really changes, or we don't change how we understand it. So that's the first step in this. Whole campaign is going to evolve over time, but that's where we're at right now, is just getting people to share their stories with the hashtag I know Jenny.
And it's you say it's just the beginning, and I got to tell you, it's already taken on an incredible life of its own with just with the hashtag itself, and it's all because of you guys. I mean, that's while it's all fun and games to talk about the cliche sex, drugs, and rock and roll, and having fun doing the tour bus, all the hot chicks, and the shows and all this stuff that comes with being a rock star. You got bands like Nothing More that are not only creating incredible music, creating incredible memories for the fans that go watch them live, but, leaving their footprint, leaving their social footprint with stuff like this. I mean, it's just, you guys, you deserve every ounce of success that you've gotten to this point, and so much more. And I'm so proud of the fact so far that you've come, and the future looks so damn bright for you guys, man. I'm really, really happy for you, Jonny.
Oh, well, thank you so much, man. You've been with us for a long time, and like you said, and anybody listening that doesn't know, we used to book shows in Abilene way back in the day when we'd have 3 people come out to see us. Nobody knew who we were, and Frank Payne was there, and it's really great to kind of look back on all that, and I appreciate all that, man.
Man, it's I'm happy for you guys. More than anything, thank you very much for sharing that story with us. I know I personally knew the story, and I know a lot of people know bits and pieces and stuff, but I think it was just, it just means that much more that you were able to share that with us today. And, man, best of luck with everything, and thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, man.
Oh, what a great interview. Jonny Hawkins from the band Nothing More. That was back in 2015. Now, the reason that I chose that interview, multiple reasons. First off, we've known, Nothing More for many, many years since they started. Great band, love the guys, incredible human beings. But more importantly, we're in the holiday season right now. For many, it's a season of depression, mental illness and stuff. Addiction becomes harder to fight. When your depression gets even higher. I suffer from depression. I understand what it's like. And the stories that we get from Jonny, especially talking about addiction, schizophrenia, and more, when we talked about their big song called Jenny, that was the primary reason why I wanted this one to air, because it needed to be heard. And it's really cool to see that we are evolving as humans to recognize the fact that addiction, mental illness, that's all stuff that is common as the cold, as common as oxygen. And instead of fighting it as a stigma, we should embrace it and talk more about it. That way we can help more people, because the more honest and sincere and open we are about addiction and mental illness, the better we're going to get as a society at treating it and accepting it and such. Don't forget 988. That's a new phone number for those of you that may be suffering from mental illness, need someone to talk to. Maybe you're thinking about suicide. Don't do it. Call 988. You can call me, shoot me an email, send me a text message. Doesn't matter. I'll take care of you as well. I'll do everything that I can to help you. Hope you have a fantastic one. Don't forget to check out our website, DaleJr.forPresident.com. LoudandUnfiltered.com was taken, so we went with the next best thing. And the attorneys told me, hey, you got to throw out a disclaimer. Okay. We are in no way affiliated with Dale Earnhardt Jr. or his potential desire to run for president. I'm a huge NASCAR fan, and I love Dale Jr., so maybe one day he will run for president. He'll get my vote. And that's the extent of politics we're going to talk on this show. Have a great one. Make sure you like, follow, subscribe on all the podcasting platforms, on all the social media platforms. It helps me out a lot. It may not mean much to you, but when you like my page, when you subscribe, when you follow, when you download, that helps me immensely. So thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Hope you're all doing well out there. DaleJr.forPresident.com. Make sure you stock up on that Diet Dr. Pepper. be a good human, and stay loud and unfiltered, y'all.